Hi there, it's Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com here with number 5 in our countdown from the M15 top 10 rogue card. This one has already created a lot of buzz, and the combo I'm going to show you has already created a lot of buzz. And before I really go into talking about this, there's a disclaimer alert. This is total Magic Christmas Land. If no one is familiar with that phrase, it's a phrase that's thrown around with Magic players when you brew a deck and try to brew combos that it only can work in the magical Christmas land. So when combos do go the way they should, I mean, this combo can be disrupted in a ton of different fashions, and a lot of the times it's just really hard to get the combo out to begin with. Decks like Thoughtseize shut it down, anything that breaks up synergy, and aggro decks, it's really hard to stabilize to actually get this combo out. But the combo I'm talking about is Kurkesh, Onakke the Ancient, and that's our card here, and the Chain Veil. So these two together, you can, when you activate the Chain Veil, you can spend an extra red from Kurkesh to copy it. So basically, for each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities have been activated this turn. So anywho, you're going to copy that, and for each copy, you can just continue to activate Planeswalker abilities. Well, it's in red, and we have some perfect red cards in a rug list to actually really exploit this combo. So I'll pull that deck list up. It's not really a deck list, just cards that synergize with it quite well. I'm putting this little combo in here as well, the Fellhide Spirit Binder and Springleaf Drum, as then you can copy cards like Satyr Wayfinder and Cura's Follower. And then if they're equipped to Illusionist Bracers, then you can actually untap another permanent with Illusionist Bracers, or you can untap the Nykthos Shrine of Nyx that hopefully can generate you enough mana. But again, you're going to have a lot of stuff out. This is why it's called Magic Christmas Land, because for this combo to really shine, there's probably easier ways than standard just to win the game. But we do have a lot of Planeswalkers that are very good in this rug list. The one Planeswalker that is most important is Ralzeric, because you're going to be able to tap target permanent then untap target permanent. So with Ralzeric and Fellhide Spirit Binder and Cura's Follower, you can kind of create this pseudo-infinite combo to where you can tap the Fellhide Spirit Binder, untap the Cura's Follower, untap the Fellhide Spirit Binder, create a copy of Cura's Follower, and you're doing this like Nykthos Shrine of Nyx. But the whole Kurkesh and the Chain Veil makes the combo even more threatening, I guess is what you can say, because now you can untap the Chain Veil. You get an extra copy when you activate so Ralzeric's going to be untapping and tapping 2 target permanents, and so you're going to be able to untap like Satyr Wayfinder or Nykthos Shrine of Nyx and untap the Chain Veil, or just whatever card you want to untap. So you do need some ways to produce a lot of mana. One of them is Cure the Crashing Wave. You can draw a card and play an additional land this turn. People have even talk about the new Ajani to add additional. I know there's another Ajani, the white Ajani, to where you're adding a counter to all the Planeswalkers, but I think the rug is fine. I don't think you need to go into white at this point, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be finding many cards. You're going to be drawing a lot of cards and playing additional lands this turn. And you're also going to be able to, with the other activation, +1-er, just to keep her above the loyalty. And then you have even cards like Domri, where you can look at the top card. If it's a creature card, you put it in your hand. With basically unlimited amount of mana, you're going to be able to cast more creatures, hopefully. And with casting more creatures, that's when Xenagos is going to be able to add you that mana that is required to do all the shenanigans. So the two important cards by far would be Xenagos and Ralzeric, as they're going to be your engines. Chandra is going to be a nice little exile top card library you may play at this turn. It's going to help Kiora with drawing cards and playing additional lands. Then there even is like Root Color of Beast, which allows you to reveal the top 5 cards and put as many creatures revealed this way into your hand. So, I mean, it's just other creatures you'd probably want to use in here would be anything that generates mana. So, of course, Sylvan Caryatid would be the perfect target or perfect card to put in here. And then cards like Elvish Mystic, and we already have the Satyr Wayfinder, but cards like that, and then you can go this whole infinite little loop until you pick which obscene ultimate you want to do, whether it be Xenagos' ultimate, exile top 7 cards of your library, you may put any number of creatures and or lands among them on the battlefield. Yeah, that basically wins you the game. Chandra's ultimate, you're probably not going to ever be plussing her anyway. You're just going to be using for the exile. Of course, Ralzeric, 3 or 5 extra turns, so average of 2.5 extra turns to do it all over again. Yeah, so that's the little infinite combo. The cool combo. Do I ever think it's going to see standard playable? No, but I mean, this is Roguedeckbuilder.com. I do play a lot of casual and just fun. Like the thing that I get most out of Magic is actually coming up with deck ideas and coming up with synergies and combos. And most of them don't work, but eventually you do find a combo that does work. And there is no fail, I guess, would be the appropriate word, because every time you're doing this, you're exercising your mind, and you can actually find other combinations just through looking for a specific combination. And some of my decks started off incredibly terrible. Immortal Servitude was one of those decks. My first version of Immortal Servitude back in the Innistrad and Ravnica days was just absolutely horrid. It did not work. I was just trying to... There was no self-mill, there was no draw, there was nothing. It was just trying to put creatures on the battlefield and then get them back with Immortal Servitude, and it failed miserably. But eventually I started refining it until Bug Immortal Servitude, which was an extremely competitive deck in my opinion, and one of my favorite decks that I've been able to build and whatnot. And a couple of my decks that I've built recently, one the Locket Storm deck in Modern, and as well as the kind of Cheerios version of my deck for Legacy, started off with some pretty bad combinations. In fact, a lot of the initial combinations end up getting cut, like especially the Cheerios deck with Multani's Presence and the Chalice of Void. That's how it all got started, and it finally morphed into a Beck Call and Glimpse of Nature deck with No Rest for the Wicked being that last little piece that just gets everything back, and then it makes the ability for it to go off a lot easier. Anyway, so what I'm saying is this isn't wasted energy. When you find combos, keep brewing until you... I start out with a crazy brew, and then I start to make it efficient. Some people ask why there's usually never any removal or just good cards in my decks. Eventually, when I do refine them, that's when you start putting in the removal and good cards that don't really work with the synergies. So you start with a list of all the synergistic cards possible, and then you start refining, okay, well, now Thoughtseize needs to go in this deck because we need to protect our combo, or now Banishing Light needs to be chucked in here because we need some sort of removal. That's how it starts with synergies, then you refine them. So it's kind of top down. So you start with a ton of stuff and then refine it and then bring in the necessary pieces that will actually combat the format. So you never know what could actually come out of this deck. I am incredibly excited for this Kurkesh because it's just a rogue card. It is a brewer's card. You have to brew around it. It's terrible without brewing around it. There isn't any obvious... I mean, the Chain Veil is kind of obvious, but the problem is I've scoured the... standard right now, and there's not a lot of activated artifacts that aren't mana abilities. I have to get a judge's ruling, but the key runes, I think if you sacrifice it, you can't even copy those because you have to have the Ill Fizzle because you have nothing to sacrifice. I'm not quite sure on that. What I'm referring to is the Guild Gate, or the Clue Stones that you can 2 and tap and sacrifice them to draw a card. I was thinking, well, you could get some value out of that by playing another red and drawing 2 cards, but I don't think that happens. I think that there's tons of sacrifice activated abilities, and I just don't think that they quite work. I'll have to get a judge to rule in on that. Yeah, but I mean the copy is pretty cool in Commander and casual formats. Here on the bottom, I've just got some cool cards that I think that would go good with the Kurkesh being able to copy the activated abilities. Like, all these cards are pretty cool. You know, put a divinity counter, so make all your guys indestructible. Search your library for a ton of creatures. Take more extra turns. Exile cards from your opponent's library, and you can play them. You can duplicate 2 spells with Isochron Scepter. Core Tapter puts 2 charge counters. Proliferate twice, you know, all these things. Voltaic Key, untap 2 artifacts, all these things. And this Voltaic Key is just begging to be broken with Kurkesh, because Kurkesh says you can't activate abilities, mana abilities, but this allows you to untap Gilded Lotus, and I believe, yeah, does that actually go infinite? Voltaic Key, Kurkesh, and because it takes 1, so it takes 2 to untap the Gilded Lotus, and I think you'll be generating net 1 mana each activation. I might be thinking about this wrong, but no, yeah, because you have to, so tap Gilded Lotus for 3, spend the 1 to untap it with Voltaic Key, and then copy that. Now, you need another way to untap the Voltaic Key as well. But, I mean, you could generate some additional mana that way with the Felhide Spirit Binder. No, because then you could untap Voltaic Key as well with the Felhide Spirit Binder. No, I don't know. We'll have to figure this out, whether not Felhide, I'm talking about Kurkesh here. We'd have to see if that would actually generate an infinite combo or not. But anyway, so I'm just saying that there's probably a ton of legacy and modern, I mean, more casual than actual competitive combinations with Kurkesh. And of course, the Chain Veil is the obvious one, which has got everyone talking about it right now. And we'll have to wait and see. Again, most of the thing about I like to consider myself a synergy player, not quite a combo player, because most of my decks don't need the combo to win. I just look for synergies that all work together. And this would be one of them that even in a Rug Planeswalker, you're playing very powerful Planeswalkers that are good in and of themselves, especially if you do fill the remaining slots here with creatures that can actually work well with Domri and Xenagos and whatnot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been number 5 from our top 10 with Kurkesh. We'll look at Kurkesh one more time. Kurkesh Onakke Ancient. This has been Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com. Click on the next card to go to number 4. Thanks for watching.